What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. All right, everybody, check it out. Let's talk a little bit about Star Wars for a minute, because right now the franchise is kind of in an interesting spot. Andor Season 2 dropped, and everybody seems to be in agreement that this is one of the best things that Disney Star Wars has ever done, if not the best. You know, everybody's saying it's Andor Season 1, Andor Season 2, Rogue One. That's our trilogy. You know, everything else in the Disney Star Wars catalog, you can just forget it, throw it in the fire, nobody cares. So it's interesting because now I'm starting to think maybe Star Wars, maybe Lucasfilm will maybe try to lean in the direction of what Andor did, you know, more gritty, more down to earth, less, you know, member berries, less lightsaber battles and space battles. We'll have some of those, but for the most part, we're going to lean into character and story and really build out the universe that way and give fans some of that kind of content. I think that that's actually a smart idea if they decide to do it, which means they probably won't. But nevertheless, it's getting amazing viewership as well. It debuted in Nielsen, 721 minutes. It was able to chart. You know, unlike the last two shows from Star Wars, weren't able to chart barely at all. You know, here's Andor getting on the chart, so it's good. All right, that's a good thing. Which brings us to this situation right here, because Rian Johnson has reared his ugly round head yet again. This dude with this big melon skull has said he is still interested in making his Star Wars trilogy.
Did I stutter?
Ain't no way in hell that this dude is going to get an opportunity to touch Star Wars ever again. I mean, this cat made literally the most divisive, the most lore-breaking, the most hated thing in the history of Star Wars. He's the number one reason why Disney Star Wars is Disney Star Wars. This guy right here, all right? And he wants to return to the franchise to do what? Especially on the heels of Andor, now you want to come rolling back in? Oh, yeah, I'm ready to make my trilogy now. Like, bruh, there's no way in hell, all right? There is no way in hell. Can you imagine walking into your friend's house? Like, your friend has invited you over. He invited you over to the house. You walk in, you start talking shit about wifey's food. All right. You kick the dog. And then, you know, before you leave, you shit all over the bathroom and you wipe your ass with the favorite hand towel. You think you're getting invited back? You're not getting invited back. That's not happening. That's basically what Rian Johnson did to the Star Wars franchise. He absolutely destroyed it. But for some reason, he's ready to return. He's like, oh, please bring me back in. Like, bro, it's not happening. No way in hell. Let's go ahead and read this. The Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, director Rian Johnson may not be done with the galaxy far, far away quite yet. Oh, he's done. All right, he's done. There's no question at all in my mind about that. There ain't nobody bringing this dude back. All right, man, that's just not happening. His announced new trilogy has received few concrete updates since its initial announcements, but the director promised in a new interview that he isn't finished with the franchise. In a new interview, Rian Johnson reiterated his interest in returning to the Star Wars universe. Johnson's The Last Jedi was wildly profitable at the box office, but it remains one of the franchise's most divisive films following its 2017 release. I mean, they say it was wildly profitable, and maybe that's true. But it's absolutely destroyed the franchise. I mean, you lost so many fans at that moment. People went and saw it because it's Star Wars. But after that, everybody was like, oh, this is trash. I'm done. And then the next movie that came out after this, The Rise of Palpatine, made even less money than this one. And everybody at Lucasfilm saw the writing on the wall. They said, nope, pull the plug. Pull the plug, man. We don't know what hell it is we're doing. We'll try some Disney Plus stuff for now. But they haven't had a movie out since then. And so, yeah, Rian Johnson, bro, you got to be out of your mind, man. That divisiveness didn't stop Disney from announcing during its 2017 quarterly shareholder meeting that Johnson would helm a new Star Wars trilogy. In 2020, Netflix bought a pair of Knives Out sequels for a whopping $469 million that cemented Johnson's involvement in the deal, and updates on the long-forgotten trilogy stopped coming over the subsequent years. Listen, nobody's been asking for it. There's nobody that thinks it's coming out. Rian Johnson seemed like he moved on. The fans absolutely don't want it. So what would be the point? What would be the point of bringing it back? Especially, again, on the heels of this. If this is what you got going on right now, Star Wars, hey, man, we got some positive momentum. Holy crap, I can't believe it. Thank you, Tony Gilroy. Yo, give Tony Gilroy the next Star Wars project. Or tell him, hey, man, why don't you put together a team? Because I understand Tony Gilroy don't want to be doing Star Wars forever. All right, Tony, can you put together a team of people you trust and like help us shape where Star Wars should go next? Because all of the idiots that we got over here, all right, Dave Filoni, even Jon Favreau, I don't think these guys are tapped into the fan base and they know what the fans want and they know how to make something of absolute quality that will bring people back. People are coming back, because of Andor. Say, well, everybody keeps saying give Andor a shot, and then they watch it and they're like, yo, this is actually pretty good. Damn, Star Wars, hey, congratulations. You want to keep this momentum going. You don't want to be bringing this dude back in over here, all right? This Rian Johnson clown. Yeah, you need to keep him as far away from Lucasfilm as humanly possible. The lack of progress provoked rumors that Johnson's trilogy was axed, though he continued to express his desire to return to Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy debunked the cancellation rumors, promising that the delay was due to his Knives Out trilogy. Look, nobody cares about Knives Out. Nobody cared about that shit at all. Nobody watches it. Nobody gives a fuck about it. And nobody cares about this roundhead and his ideas of whatever it is he wants to do with Star Wars. It's not happening. Johnson would be the happiest person revisiting Star Wars. I bet he would. I bet he would love coming back. Maybe even the story group over at Lucasfilm, they would love it. Everybody would love it over at Lucasfilm. We wouldn't. The fans have rejected him. Get a clue, man, straight up. In an interview with The Independent, Johnson was asked about the status of his long-dormant Star Wars trilogy. Johnson explained he wouldn't rule it out becoming involved with Star Wars again, happening down the line. See, now he don't even sound like he's confident in this. Johnson explained he wouldn't rule it out happening down the line. So it sounds like he might have already moved on himself. What did he say? I mean, I kind of went down the murder mystery rabbit hole. I'm focused on making other stuff, but that wouldn't rule out it happening down the line. If I get back into the Star Wars universe someday, if I get back in. Okay. So he might want to come back, but it's an if. I'd be the happiest person. Yeah, nobody else would be happy at all, man. This guy absolutely got to be kidding me, man. The fact that you think that you can come back to the Star Wars franchise and you think that you could just step right on back in. All right, here it comes. Trilogy, the Rian Johnson trilogy like you guys all want, right? Nobody cares about this at all. I'm serious, man. If Disney is smart, they're not, but if they were, they would go and talk to Tony Gilroy and get ideas from him and bring in some hardcore Star Wars fans. All right, some actual Star Wars fans, not some woke activists, all the idiots that they got over there at Lucasfilm. Bring in some actual Star Wars fans, and just saying, shit can the sequel trilogy. All right, I'm sure if Tony Gilroy was to stay around, he'd be like, "Yeah, my shit's staying." All right, y'all ain't getting rid of all of Disney Star Wars. You keeping my shit, but everything else can go. Like, all right, cool. Andor season 2, Rogue One. All right, bet we got that. Everything else can go. Everything else, even Mando seasons 1 and 2, they can all go. But keep Tony Gilroy, keep some of his people. Bo Willimon, I think he's a good writer as well. Keep these cats around, all right? Let them figure out what Star Wars needs because they seem like they understand how to write at the very least, and they can tap into the audience on emotional levels with great characters. Andor season 2 is phenomenal, all right? The last thing you need is Roundhead coming out. While he admits the Knives Out franchise had been taking his creative energies away from the Star Wars universe, Johnson's clear enthusiasm for the franchise hasn't waned, and it's hopeful to hear his optimism about the trilogy's future potential. Johnson also discussed the controversies that plagued The Last Jedi, though at the time, Johnson described the online ire as incredibly painful. Today, he has more positive reflections about his time in the franchise. In an interview, he admits experiencing wars between Star Wars fans, which still left a positive impact. I feel like I've had such a wonderful, lovely, positive experience with the fans during the course of it all. That left me a bigger Star Wars fan than I ever was, which is really something because I grew up with it as the bedrock of my childhood. You could have fooled me, man. Look, everybody got their own unique takes, I guess, on franchises. So, Rian Johnson can feel any way he want to feel. Maybe he did grow up with Star Wars, and maybe that was the bedrock of his childhood, but he didn't rock with it in the way that 95% of other Star Wars fans rocked with it. All right? There are some shills that absolutely loved it. It's like, oh, I had such a wonderful experience with the fans. There are some shills out there, obviously, that love and slurp up every single thing that Disney Star Wars does, so that's true. But look, man, right now, I think at this point, look, if you got this kind of stuff going, It's like, hey man, we charting on Nielsen again. Hey, people like Andor. People are down with what we just did. All right, cool. You know, and you had this kind of positive reception. What was The Last Jedi? Let's see that. Yeah, 41%. You want to go from 88% to 41% for the audience? This is where you want to return to? Get out of here, man. Yeah, no chance in hell that Rian Johnson gets to come back to Star Wars and make his trilogy. If that ever happened, that shows you how lost Disney Star Wars really is, man. That shows you how bad things are over there at Lucasfilm if they ever let that moron's foot back in the door. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I don't think there's any chance in hell. I think homie is delusional as all out. All right, there's no way he gets back into Star Wars at this point. You know, he's destroyed the franchise. The franchise, honestly, Kathleen Kennedy, all of them cats. You know, remember we talked about like the 4 horsemen of the Star Wars apocalypse, and it was Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and we threw Leslie Headland in there. I think Rian Johnson is that 4th horseman. All right. The 4th horseman of the Star Wars apocalypse. Maybe you can, you know, throw J.J. Abrams in there too. I don't know. I got to think about that. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about it. Go ahead, jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.